There's a lot of moving parts on this, and I don't have a lot of answers, but I'd like the closing story to be the Basel Bank for International Settlement actual plan that was divulged in the 1990 decade by a former chairman of Basel. When they call it Basel, they're referring to the Bank for International Settlement, the BIS. Its location is Basel. So you get Basel rules, Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3. It's referring to the Bank for International Settlement in Basel. So they're one and the same. This Basel chairman in 1995 was giving an interview after he had retired as chairman. And his name is Zijlstra, Zijlstra, Zijlstra. He's Dutch. So the J makes it a long I, Zijlstra. He said, and I covered this in 2017, Susanna, in the newsletter. It's in my 2017 issues. Zijlstra said, eventually the Rothschild central banks will paint themselves into a corner, and it will be from an excess of debt and rising interest rates. And we've got that now. And he said, they'll paint themselves into a corner, and the only way they will get out of their insolvency, it's from higher interest rates holding a lot of bonds. Insolvent. They're stuck. They paint themselves into a corner, and the only way they can get out is to secretly acquire a large tonnage of gold and then lift the price to 10,000 and then higher. Okay. Now, some people have said that's the Jim Willie forecast. And I'm not saying it's my forecast. I'm saying I'm telling a story. The story is the Basel exit plan from being in the insolvent extreme corner. Like now, it's the Basel plan to lift the gold price to 10,000 after secretly acquiring a shitload, a boatload of gold. Why do you think they're keeping the price down? I think it's because they're acquiring. They have these nonsensical bullshit stories that the central banks are adding 200 tons of gold. Oh no, try 10,000 tons of gold. Not 200, try 10,000 tons of gold. Not 200 tons of gold, 10,000 tons of gold. Because that's how you make a difference when you lift the gold price to 10,000. You exit the extreme insolvency, and I'll tell you why they're going to do it, Suzanne. They're going to do it. Okay, it's a quasi forecast. I don't deny it. I'm telling the story because I believe it's going to happen. If I believe it's going to happen, then it's a forecast. What I'm presenting is their plan. They're going to do it so they don't become irrelevant.
Right. But they'll dwindle away eventually.
Now, I've had to explain this a couple times now. I'm not resentful that people are saying this is a Jim Willie forecast of 10,000. What I'd like it is to see them do in presenting a byline on an interview is Jim Willie relates and reveals the Basel Plan for 10,000 gold. It's the Basel Plan.
It is a Basel Plan, but wait.
So let's hope that the Basel crew and all their satellite franchise Rothschild central banks feel the pain of being insolvent. Now, every time they raise interest rates, they feel pain more. Now, remember, central banks don't have leveraged portfolios of bonds. the big banks do. So what you're going to get is the big banks feeling the pain a lot worse, and they pressure the central banks to execute the Basel Plan.
Not only that, wait a second, Jim. What happens when, because everybody's adopting this whole crypto, well, let's call it the quantum financial system, whatever it is, everything gets tokenized. Well, when things get tokenized, now you cannot do any shenanigans.
Yeah, well, wake me up when they're tokenized.
I will wake you up, but if they're working towards that, right?
But Susanna, there are a lot of plans.
Yeah.
Wake me up when the plans are fully implemented, because I think that's part of the 2-year pathway. Tokenize the bonds. It's going to take a long time. And maybe those 2 years that I outlined for the Project Sandman. Okay, look for an announcement by the BRICS nations soon that they have decided they're going to do a gradual Treasury bond dumping exercise, very gradual, over a long period of time, whatever is necessary to get the job done without causing a financial crisis. And what they won't say is in their own country. Okay, this is going to be very exciting. I think more dangerous than some people expect. I'm already identifying the big risks for my life. I'd rather not talk about them. And they relate to the reset.